What is an unexplainable memory from your childhood? I have this memory of sleeping in an office block in South London with my mum on an airbed. I recall looking out of the window and feeling sad. Years later I was driving and got a very strong impulse to stop outside this building, and I was 100% certain it was that one. Every time I went past it felt odd. My mum says it didn't happen, everyone else concurs. My best conclusion at this stage is that I probably had a very vivid dream that became conflated with something else. Your mom left your dad for a night and assumed you'd forget. Could be. It's certainly plausible. I could lucid dream when I was a kid. I would actually get really excited to go to bed because I could decide what to dream and then dream it. I had a reoccurring character in my lucid dreaming. He was a boy my age with blonde hair. We would always play in this backyard playground type setting that has a big brick wall on the edge. One night I dreamt that we really wanted to find out what was on the other side of that wall, so we climbed a tree and the boy climbed onto the wall, looked back at me and waved, and went over it. I never lucid dreamed again after that. It actually caused me a lot of distress as a kid. I legit missed him terribly and tried so hard to lucid dream but just couldn't do it anymore after that. I had a dream that I met a girl around my age when I was a kid. We shared a whole summer together, playing games and all that. I faintly remember her smiling with the sun behind her before the dream ended. I woke up crying and feeling like I just lost someone important. I'm like 95% sure I sort of got hit by a car when crossing the street with my mom. There was a red light and we didn't cross at a crosswalk. A car inched forward and I remember falling onto the hood. But I was fine. I used to literally get flashbacks. For years. But my mom swears it never happened. I think she's lying. Sometime before the age of 5, I remember being convinced that if I tried hard enough, and believed in myself, I could fly. So I would practice flying. Jumping down the stairs when nobody was watching. I never developed my ability to fly, but I vividly remember basically cannonballing down 14 steps, and just gliding down in mid-air. And landing at the bottom totally safe and uninjured. Many times over the years. When I was a little kid, I thought that the mountain ranges on the horizon on the way to Grandpa's house were built by my Uncle Richard. I have no idea how this idea got into my head, but I remember that when I figured out that there was no way it was possible, I was pretty bummed out. I bet Old Dick didn't deny any of it. Old Dick rarely denies it. I remember, very vividly, seeing a leprechaun in the hallway of my house. It freaked me out so bad that I woke my mom up yelling someone's in the house. We walked from room to room with kitchen knives looking for the leprechaun, but never found that shifty little bastard. Well, it's because you blinked, duh. This is really ominous sounding unless you already know that's how leprechauns can get away. When I was really young I was being babysat by a couple of teenage college-age girls that were friends with one of my older cousins. They took me to a party, laid me down in a random bedroom upstairs, and put on a random videotape that definitely wasn't Barney or anything else suited for children. My mom swears this never happened, but I remember it way too clearly for me to make it up. The watching TV bit of this sort of happened to me in a different way, but I remember it quite clearly. My babysitter wanted to hang out with her friends, so I got left in the back room for some reason watching Coming to America with Eddie Murphy. I had a nice time and asked my mom if that babysitter could visit again. The royal penis is clean, Your Highness. My friend's dad came up to me and said he had a secret to tell me that I couldn't tell anyone else. Then he said, I'm secretly in love with you. But that was where it ended. Oh man, that's really weird. I know. And his wife, my friend's mom, always seemed to dislike me. I think there might be a connection there, but I'll never know for sure. That's crazy. Did you just avoid them from then on? I mean, it would really stink potentially losing a friend, but that's just crazy AF. No, I was like 6 to 7 at the time and just didn't tell anyone. I thought it was important for me to keep a secret because he asked me to, which was dumb of me. But then again, nothing did ever happen, so I guess it wasn't so bad. Ducking yikes Lamau. Way too young. I remember being at a playground with my family and seeing lightning strike right in front of me. Didn't hear any thunder, no one else saw it, but I remember seeing it pretty vividly. Not sure if there's something that can go on in your brain that would cause something like that to happen, but I remember pleading with my mom to believe that I had just seen a lightning bolt strike right in front of me, and she just ignored me. Edit, After reading through comments, pretty sure this was exploding head syndrome. Never heard of it before, but it most accurately represents what I experienced. Thanks everyone for the feedback and caring way more than my own mother did at the time. Similar to me, kinda, I was at my grandpa's farm when a storm rolled through. I don't remember lightning hitting anywhere close, but the flash was there. Then, all of a sudden, this strange ball of light floated around the ground for a while. I didn't know what it was for years until I heard of something called ball lightning. Not sure what it was, but it was hella cool at it. Wow. I'm glad to see that others experienced what I did. Whenever I tell the story, people don't believe me. They say that since I was a kid, I must have imagined it. I wasn't the only person on the farm that saw it, my grandparents saw it, too. From what I remember, they couldn't explain it either. Ooh, ball lightning. That's extremely rare. You should feel a rare privilege you experienced that. I'm jealous. You should also feel privileged that it didn't detonate and nuke the 30 to 50 feet close to it. Edit, thanks for the double silver. That blows my mind, a legit ball of energy from thunderstorms just floating around like it's Metro Exodus. This is some paranormal phenomenon shit. I used to have nightmares. My dad put up a poster of Peter Pan in my room and told me that when I went to sleep, Peter would fly out of the poster and chase all of the monsters away. I never had another bad dream. That's a really lovely end to the story. The whole neighborhood thought I was kidnapped. I don't really know why and what the actual duck is the thought process of how they think that happened, but apparently the people are frantically searching me. What I remembered is that my elder cousin and her husband took me to an internet cafe to let me watch them pick their wedding outfits. When we returned, everyone was shocked. My brother smiles because he knew I was in trouble, my mom was crying, and my dad slapped the shit out of me. It was so surreal. My mother walked into my room, waking me up to tell me that most of the world's population was dead. I spent the rest of the day as normal, eating breakfast, going shopping with her, going to a playground, then eating dinner, albeit acting quite nervous throughout. The next day, she tried to make it clear that what started the previous morning wasn't true. I asked her if she remembered, but she told me she didn't. I'm certain it wasn't a dream, because I recalled the rest of what happened the previous day to her, only to be met by her confirmation that everything I remembered was correct, right down to how shaky I was and how upset I seemed. All except for the part that humanity was on the brink of extinction. P.S. I am aware that, yes, it is true that most of the world's population is dead. What I meant when I originally wrote this was that most of the living population just dropped dead overnight. Maybe you had a dream that she told you that, and then the dream got conflicted with your actual memory of waking up, and it resulted in you being scared all day. When I was a kid, I had a classmate over who claimed he was a vampire. I didn't believe him. I told him if his eyes glow in the dark, that would prove he was a vampire. We went into the bathroom and I turned off the light. His eyes were glowing. It scared the crap out of me. I opened the door, ran outside, jumped on my bike and got as far away from my house as I thought I could. When I eventually came back home, the classmate was gone and my dad was pissed that I abandoned my friend. The stuff eye doctors use for certain tests glows in the dark. I and a doctor's son used to play this very prank on people. Are you Op's vampire friend? My sister and I apparently both had the same dream one night, a scary one. We were staying in this villa where we had to share a room, and we both woke up suddenly. The window was open, when it hadn't been before. I realized she was awake as well and told her I'd had a bad dream, and as I started to describe it, she started talking along with me, describing the same dream. In it, this black creature that looked like a bull, only it had shiny, scaly, plastic-looking skin, was standing in the open window with this weird mechanical device, and it somehow fired a projectile at the lamp in the room, which started rocking back and forth. Neither of us wanted to get up and close the window in case the thing was actually out there, so we called for our mom and she closed it, reassured us in typical mom fashion, etc. For months we would talk about that incident, and we could never figure out how we both managed to have the same exact dream at the same time. My 3 brothers swore they all saw my dad wrestle an anaconda in their old backyard, or at least a large snake. My dad denies it. It's crazy that they all had that exact memory. That's how I'd explain myself if I got caught too, wrestling an anaconda.